Lucinda Bassett, the anxiety guru. Yes, I am here live, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. And I'm glad you're here tonight. And we're going to talk about anxiety tonight because I am just amazed at how many people think that their anxiety is a problem or a disease. And I thought, maybe we need to just kind of revisit that, because the truth of the matter is it's neither. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Anxiety can manifest in so many different ways. Men seem to manifest it a little bit differently than women. And I think that men are afraid to talk about their issues. I also think that, they see it as a weakness. And I think that women are warriors. I think they're born warriors. So women tend to, yes. Can you talk about dealing with physical sensations and not assuming they're going to cause real disease? Yes, that's a great question. Please throw the questions out at me, because you do have an anxiety guru sitting here. And I don't mean that the way that it sounds, but I kind of do. I mean, I've been doing this for 20, 30. I don't even know. I don't want to date myself, but I have a lot of answers. And some of the answers you get from doctors are not always the best answers. And medication can be helpful depending on what you're taking. And a lot of other things can be helpful. But I think what we want to try and do tonight is reassure you that this is not a disease. It is not a disorder. You're not going crazy. You're not going to die from it. So what I'm here to tell you tonight is that anxiety is an emotion. It's an emotion like happiness and fear, and even depression can be an emotion. Feeling sad, that's an emotion. Feeling anxious, it's an emotion. And people say, well, I have anxiety disorder. So you want to ask, well, when does anxiety become a disorder that might need treatment? And I would tell you, when your anxiety is so extreme that it's affecting how you live your life. So you're maybe limiting how you live your life. Maybe you're not flying, but anything that you can find that makes you feel reassured that you're normal, because anxiety is normal. If you're anxious, you're an overthinker. You're probably a worrier. You analyze things. You're very passionate. You're an intense person. And, what I want to tell you is that for so much of my life, and I want to tell you guys, turn your cameras off or you might end up on YouTube. For so much of my life, I thought that I was messed up and that no one would love me because I had anxiety. And in fact, that's not true. I would encourage you to accept anxiety as part of who you are. And when you date someone, or if you have a partner, it's okay to say, I'm anxious. That's part of my personality. And I don't really like it either, but I'm not going to apologize for it. And you don't want to be one of those people who sees yourself as a victim. And you're always going, I'm sorry, I'm scared, I'm worried. And I can do that sometimes. And I hate myself when I do that. And I hate to use that word, but, my mom was a little bit like that. Like, she seemed like she was kind of a wussy. I'll use the W word. And my father was an abusive alcoholic. And my mother was always apologizing for who she was. I'm sorry, Jason. My mother was always apologizing for everything. Like, she was a victim, and she was sorry she was weak, and she was sorry she was whiny, and she was sorry for everything. And that's one thing about my mother. And I love my mother, but that's one thing I didn't like. And, people are going to treat you the way you teach them to treat you. So if you're always apologizing to your children, or your wife or your friends, for being anxious or for being a worrier, then stop apologizing, because the truth of the matter is you don't have to apologize for having anxiety. It's one of the things you have. You don't have to apologize for being passionate, for being a worrier, for overthinking. That's who you are. And believe me, whoever you're apologizing to, they've got their shit. And, and we can get into a habit of doing that. And what I want to encourage you to do tonight is accept your anxiety as part of who you are and be authentic with yourself. And it's okay to, have anxiety in a certain situation. It's okay to have anxiety if you're going in for a mammogram. It's okay to have anxiety if you're going on a long trip and driving makes you uncomfortable. It's okay to, be on a flight and get anxious from turbulence. And people like us who are so hypersensitive, we're so afraid somebody's not going to love us if we're anxious. And guess what? You're very lovable, and you're very lovable in spite of your anxiety and because of your anxiety. And if somebody can't love you just the way you are, then find somebody else. And I don't mean that to say, listen, if you're a whiner and a complainer and you're always negative, then you need to be honest with yourself and say, I need to work on these things. That's the other side of this. And let me just see if I can answer some of these questions here. Are you Claire Weeks? Yes. Bené Brown, thank you very much. Bené Brown is this really, really, really bright, highly educated woman, and she's got her own issues, and she's been focusing a little bit on anxiety. And one of the things I do want to talk a little bit about tonight, and I'm certainly not a doctor and I'm not an expert, but and when I've talked to my clients about this, that you do come to a road in a stressful moment or an anxiety producing situation for you, whatever it is. Maybe you're in an unfamiliar crowd of people at a party, or maybe you got stuck in a flight experience where you've got to stay in an airport for 8 hours, or maybe you're in an argument with someone you're in love with and you feel like they're misunderstanding you. Whatever the situation is, or you're stuck in traffic in an hour and a half on your way to Vegas, I don't know. I can think of all the things that make me anxious. And you have time in that moment. It's a fork in the road, and you have two paths. And we'll just say the left path, I'm left-handed, it takes you off to, an anxious place. And when you do that, your brain is telling your body, oh my God, I've got to react. And you release chemicals in your body that create the fight or flight response. And I wrote all this down, and you've got these things called neurotransmitters that are chemical messengers that send information to the nerve cells throughout the brain that send out certain chemicals in your body, depending on what you're going through, that will either calm you down or stimulate you. And this is so not rocket science. So when you're sitting in a moment and you can feel yourself about to react, you can say, do I want to tell my brain and my body right now to calm down? As you would if you were getting into your soft bed, get ready to go to sleep, or as you would if you were lying out in the sun by a pool, or as you would tell yourself if you were in a movie theater getting to watch a romantic comedy. What is it that you do that relaxes you? Maybe what would you tell yourself if you were sitting in church, or if you were getting ready to go into breath work or getting ready to do yoga? That's what you want to tell yourself to take the road to the right that's going to calm you down. Or you can send a message to your body in that moment, that fork in the road that says, oh my God, I'm on a turbulent flight, or oh my God, this person's going to get mad at me, or oh my God, I'm going in for a mammogram. And you can panic yourself, which will cause you to release other chemicals in your body that will stimulate you and cause you to get that fight or flight response where your heart pounds, you have trouble breathing, and you just sit there feeling like shit, and you're anxious as shit. And why I'm telling you this is you do it to yourself because you make a subconscious or conscious choice to send out a message that your body takes as a certain response to release chemicals in your body that create a certain reaction. A lot of these are hormones, and you've heard of some of these things. There's serotonin, okay? And there's adrenaline, and there's cortisol, and there's endorphins. And endorphins are great. That's what happens when you exercise, and they're the feel-good hormone. Serotonin is also, it's a mood regulation hormone that comes from the gut. It gives you a sense of well-being, and that's what's in some of these antidepressants. But and then there's GABA, and that releases a sense of calm and relaxation. And what you need to know, and what some of you already know, is that you can do something as simple as eat a piece of chocolate, and that will create an adrenaline response that can make you feel anxious. I mean, I've actually had people say, I was having a really good day, and then I ate a chocolate bar, and I had to go take half a Xanax. And it's real. It's like, if you don't believe me, try it. Or the worst is caffeine. And we've had this conversation, but it's important to have it again because there is a process you can go through to calm yourself down when you're anxious. And we're going to talk about that. But the most important thing I want you to understand is that anxiety is not going to make you crazy. It's not going to kill you. It's not a disease and it's not a disorder. It's an emotion. When you sit there and you feel anxious, it's an emotion and you're okay and you're lovable and you're sane and you're not going to die from it. Okay. And I just have all these clients lately that are looking at themselves as if they're victims of anxiety and as if there's something wrong with them because they have anxiety. And even worse, that they're not lovable because they have anxiety. And then they get into this thing where I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so scared. Well, of course you're scared. Anxiety scares you. But instead of taking that route, say, hey, come on a little more assertive. I have anxiety. I'm sorry. I don't really like it, when you watch these types of movies, or I don't really like it, when you talk to me that way, or I don't really like it when you go out with all your friends on a Saturday night and leave me sitting here alone. I don't know what your anxiety is, but you have a right to be assertive, not aggressive, and let someone know, whether it's your children, or it's your partner, or it's your girlfriends, whatever. I have anxiety, and that kind of thing makes me really uncomfortable. I don't really want to do it. I remember when my son, Sammy, who is a badass, for those of you who know Sammy, he jumps out of planes and he's a master scuba diver. And what else? He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Sammy is like the opposite. Well, not really. He is my son. And I'm pretty gutsy. I did stupid things. When I was younger, I hitchhiked to Florida and I had a fake ID and I'd go out dancing in nightclubs. There's that side of me. But Sammy and I went on a road trip and we ended up at this place out in the desert where you jump out of planes. He's like, Mom, come on, you're Lucinda Bassett. Jump out of a plane. And I'm like, ugh. And there's part of me thinking, oh my God, I got to jump out of this plane or Sammy's going to think I'm a wussy. I'll be kind. And, I actually thought, because Mom, you can take this course and you can jump out of the plane with me. And I thought about it. And I thought, number one, I don't want to jump out of a plane. And number two, I'm afraid I'd have a heart attack just going up in this plane. I don't like little planes. And it was okay for me to say no. Just freaking say no. I don't want to jump out of a plane. I really love you, but I'm not jumping out of a plane for you. Okay. End of story. And I have to say, the older I get, now I'm 95. Really? I know it's pretty good for, no, really. Seriously, I'm going to try to get all your messages. I'm scrolling down. Lucinda, thank you for doing this. I recently got diagnosed with multiple chemical sensitivity. They're saying it got triggered by anxiety. Do you know about this? Let me tell you something. If you've got anxiety, you probably all have multiple chemical sensitivity. That simply means that you react to a lot of things. And not to change the subject, because I wanted to get to this whole thing about saying no. We'll get back to that. But when you have anxiety, you are chemically sensitive to many, many things, and not just caffeine and chocolate, but also, certain types of medication. Read the bottles, like Excedrin. Oh my God. I was taking, ZQuil for sleeping. And I've even said that's not a bad thing to take, except it's got that diphenhydramine. I'm not going to say this right. Diphenhydramine. I have to look it up. It's something that helps you sleep, but it also causes constipation. And I was taking that, and then somebody's got to talk about it. I wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom for like 3 days. And I thought, gosh, that stuff really makes me sleep. But then I can't go to the bathroom for 5 days. It's like, what's worse? Not sleeping or not being able to go to the bathroom? I don't know. They're both pretty bad. But you have to be very aware of what you're taking, and you have to read labels. And when you're chemically sensitive, you have to understand that what you eat, what you drink, and anything that you're digesting, even some of these things you guys are taking over the counter right now, read the ingredients in these over the counter sleeping products that you're taking that have all these supplements in them that are going to help you sleep. Because some of these things like 5-HTP, that even though it's supposed to help you relax, it makes some people anxious. So start out with just a little bit of these things and take them gradually and see how they affect you, and watch yourself. See how you feel if you drink an iced tea. See how you feel if you eat a piece of chocolate. If you're floating along having a good day and then you eat a Snickers bar. Listen, I love Reese's peanut butter cups. I love M&M peanuts. But if I really want to feel like shit, all I've got to do is sit and eat a Reese's. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. But if I eat chocolate and sugar, I can go into an anxious episode. And by the way, an anxious episode is an episode where all of a sudden you just feel like you're just anxious. You're not necessarily having a panic attack, but you might feel like this, and you sit around and maybe you want to get up and go clean the kitchen, or you feel like you've got this, you can't sit still because you have anxious energy. And it could be caused from a supplement that you took. It could be caused from something that you ate. It could be caused from the iced tea or the Diet Pepsi that you drank. And it could be caused from the alcohol that you drank the night before. It could be caused from the anti-anxiety medication that you took in the morning that has worn off, and now it's 2:00 in the afternoon and you're more anxious. It could be caused from the sleeping pill you took the night before. So what I'm trying to tell you all, oh my God, I love it. Keep the questions coming. I've been skydiving twice. I love this. You jumped out the first time after getting clean and sober. I love it. One of the best things I've ever done. I have the same hat you're wearing. All right. I like all this. And I like 5-HTP. So that's keep it coming, because it's interesting how some people will have no reaction at all to chocolate, and some people can have a panic attack from chocolate. And some people can have anxiety in a social situation, and other people, and they can fly everywhere, and other people can do everything, but they can't drive on a highway. So it's not the same for everybody. But what I want you to do is I want you to accept and allow yourself to be who you are with anxiety. That I've said this before, everybody's got something, okay? If your thing's anxiety, but maybe your husband is, maybe his thing is depression, or maybe, maybe your husband doesn't show emotion at all. Maybe he keeps all of that in, and maybe you're an overreactor and maybe he's a non-reactor. We talked last week about people being emotionally unavailable. And I've dated a couple people like that throughout my lifetime, or my single life. And I think they struggle with people like us who are so emotional. And that's not a bad thing. Okay. It's just what I'm trying to get you to do is, if you're on this call right now, you're probably someone who struggles a little bit with anxiety and maybe a little bit of depression. And you probably struggle and think that you're weak because of it, or that you have to make excuses for it. No, you don't. It's okay to say, I don't like to see that. I don't like to, some people really like violent shows. I can't watch violent shows. If I were sitting with my son and he wanted to watch a violent show, I would have to get up and leave. I don't want to see that. I've had enough violence in my life, And then there, what's interesting too, there's certain music that gives me anxiety, like really loud, intense acid rock. I went to this place I love to listen to music, and we walked in and the band was like really intense, like rock and roll. And I'm like, I don't want to be here. This kind of music like triggers something, probably a chemical in me that makes me anxious. I don't want to do it. And any tips for fear of doctors and health anxiety? How do you stay calm if you're afraid to go to doctors? Take a Xanax before you go to the doctor. No, and I mean, you could. I mean, listen, if you're someone who can take a benzodiazepine and not get sick from it, and you find that it helps you, I don't know why. My screen seems to be getting a little darker. I've never done this on let me see if I can brighten it up. No. Are you guys all seeing me right now? If you aren't, tell me. Okay. So someone just said I got addicted to Xanax, and that was the other thing I was going to say. You have to be careful. If the problem with a lot of these pills, like I'm not even going to name them all, but is your doctor will say, here, take 3 of these a day. No really good doctor should do that. unless you're just a terribly anxious person, but that's when you get addicted to something. But there are medications, there are certain types of anti-anxiety medications that you can take as needed. You can break it in half and a fourth and take it once every 3 days. And so if that's something that you can manage, talk to your doctor about it. I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on Zoom, but if you're someone who can take something once in a while to help you get through a mammogram or to help you get through a turbulent flight, then talk to your doctor about that, because there are certain things you can take. Ideally, it'd be great if you didn't take anything, but there are people that are taking antidepressants right now and they can be very effective. I'm not anti-medication. I think there are some great medications out there and they can be very helpful. So you have to talk to your doctor and you have to find out what you personally can tolerate. Someone saying, I'm a nurse, I'd like to tell my story, and I would like to unmute. I might do that in a minute. So the idea here is, I want you to understand that whatever you are and whoever you are, a huge part of getting beyond your anxiety is understanding that anxiety is one of the things that it's how you manifest your stress, and giving yourself permission to have it in situations that create anxiety. And you might say, yeah, but sometimes I'm just sitting at home doing nothing and I get anxiety. And then that's generalized anxiety. And generalized anxiety is typically brought on by a thought. So maybe you're sitting at home and you're thinking about something that happened to you yesterday, or maybe this is what a lot of us do with anxiety. So you're anticipating something that may happen, and then you release these messages to your neurotransmitters that this is so important, you guys, that tell your body, uh-oh, or what if? And that's when you release the chemicals that make you anxious. If you could stop yourself in that moment and go in another direction and say, I'm okay. I want to calm down right now. I want to be calm. I want to release the chemicals that I would release if I were doing yoga, or if I were going to sleep at night, or if I wanted to be calm, and enjoy a dinner out, because you make those choices to release these chemicals that will either calm you down or make you anxious. And that's the most important thing that you need to understand. And by accepting the fact that you have an anxious personality, that goes a long way in releasing the right chemicals. Okay. One of the reasons I worry about taking pills is I'm afraid they'd mess me up for some reason. That's a good conversation to have with your doctor. And listen, some of them can. I mean, that's why you never want to take anything. The other thing I see happening is, my sister gave me a couple of benzos, or my brother-in-law suggested I take this antidepressant. Don't do it. You should never take anybody else's medication, and you should never randomly take medication, and you should never take medication that's outdated, that's in your cabinet. And you should never just, randomly take a girlfriend's Xanax because you're on a flight with her to, Hawaii, and you're anxious too, because you don't know what kind of reaction you're going to have. So that's a really good point. Is there something that you take that works for you? I don't take a lot. There's a test I really love called Genomind that you should all ask your doctors about. And what I love about Genomind, your doctor has to order it. And what Genomind does is it tells you the medications that you shouldn't take that could be difficult for you. For me, I took the test, and morphine, it's almost like I'm allergic to it. And God forbid I needed to take something, which, by the way, I got hit by a truck and they went to give me morphine, and people knew don't give her morphine. And I'm not going to tell you what it could do to me, but I can't take morphine. And I also cannot take SSRIs, which are what a lot of antidepressants are. They can make me more anxious and more depressed. So what Genomind did do is it told me the things that I could take that I would probably not have a negative reaction to. I personally have tried some antidepressants when I went through David's death and things like that. I never found anything that worked for me. So those don't work for me. as far as what I do for myself that really helps me, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about anyway, is this breath work that I do is very calming, but I have to do cardio. I have to go for a walk or get on my treadmill 20 minutes a day. And my daughter walks 4 miles a day. My son, like I said, he's out there working his butt off and he golfs and he jumps out of planes. We're all a little bit high strung. Okay. And the best way to get rid of that high strung energy is not to sit there and worry or watch TV. It's to get out and get active. Go down and get on your treadmill, go out and walk with a friend, take your dogs for a walk. And you need to do it when you really feel like shit, when you really feel like it's the hardest thing in the world you want to do right now. Get in your pool if you're lucky enough to have one, and swim, but don't sit there and drink and watch TV. I'm really amazed at how many people that I coach don't drink at all. I'm like, wow. In fact, one of my clients that I was talking to today, she says, I think you'd be really better off if you could drink. I could never drink. And I said, no, you'd be way better off if you never because people who drink sometimes use that as self-medication for anxiety, and that can become an addiction, and it can become a bad habit that you get used to doing every night. And then it becomes a bit of an addiction, and it's not good for you. It's bad for your kidneys. It's bad for your liver. It's bad for your brain. So, you have to take care of yourself. I try really hard. What do? I do love that question. I try really hard to get up every day and just be really grateful for my life. I'm working myself on not saying I'm sorry and not apologizing for my anxiety. I'm working really hard on hanging around with people and having people in my life who don't make me feel small or make me anxious. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've got some people in my life occasionally who make me feel like, oh, well, what did I do? Where can I go? How late should, if I'm late or if I do this or if I do that, they stress me out. It's like, well, you got to be there on time. You got to do this. And I struggle with that. I don't do that to people. I mean, I'm too old and I want to be around people that make me feel calm. I want to hang out with people who are easy to be with. They don't have to be rich. They don't have to be bright. Bright's good though. What I'm saying is they don't have to be, rock stars. I just want to be with people who are authentic, who are easy to be with. And I suggest you do the same. And I drink a ton of water. I try really hard to avoid sugar and candy. I don't really take anything. I'm really fortunate at my age, 95 years old, that I know you don't believe me, but I really am. No, I don't have high blood pressure, knock on wood. I don't have diabetes. I don't have anything that I have to take medication for. So I feel very, very lucky for that. I was an avid gym goer. I had triple bypass surgery 4 months ago. I got back to the gym right away. I will admit from time to time, I get anxious about working out. That's okay. You should check your blood pressure. You should take your time and work your way back into it gradually. Ashwagandha, I'm not sure. That's a lot of people have seen some really great experience with that. I think there are a lot of things on social media right now, like CBD gummies. You got to be very careful because there's a lot of scams out there. So before you go putting down your credit card and buying things that claim to help you sleep better or calm you down, I will tell you, what do I take? I take calm gummies. I really think they're helpful. I take magnesium. That's what calm gummies are. Magnesium calms you down at night, helps you sleep, helps you go to the bathroom. I love ZQL, but it's only got lavender and chamomile. I don't get the one that's got the diphenhydramate in it. I'm not saying that right. I should look that up. But anyway, I only take the one that's got, it's got chamomile. I should look that up. Here we go. Just ZQL, and it's got in it is melatonin and lavender and something else. And it really works for me. I take a cup of that. And then I also have, it's called ZQL Pure Z's. And I also have the gummies, and I'm telling you, that really helps me sleep. So you might try that. Check out Ollie Stress Gummies. So happy I found these. Okay, I don't know anything about those. Someone is telling me, and when when you're in doubt, get a dog. By the way, I think right now with all the crime that's happening around the world, dogs aren't a bad thing. But listen, I've been anxious my whole life. And it manifested as a child with scary thoughts. And then in my 20s, I had scary thoughts about doing stupid things like hurting people and doing weird things and embarrassing myself in front of other people, And I can tell you, I have had just about every form of anxiety disorder, right down to agoraphobia, where I couldn't fly, I couldn't drive. I was agoraphobic, and now I do everything, I don't jump out of planes, but I ski and I go up, really high, gondolas. And I'm about to fly to Europe in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to get on a bunch of different flights and have a fun time. I'm taking a family vacation. I'm taking all my children and my grandbabies. And there was a time I wouldn't have been able to do that because I was so afraid to fly. I remember when my daughter got married, and she got married in Italy, and they gave us a free visit to this little island that she was getting married on. And we could only get there by boat. And I remember going, and by the time we got to the little island, I was like, I can't stay here. And she was like, why? And I said, I need to be able to get off this island. I mean, what if I want to get off and I can't get a hold of the boat guy? That's how I used to live. I wouldn't get on. And then the boat was 20 minutes long. And what if I had irritable bowel syndrome? What if I had a diarrhea attack on the boat and I couldn't get off the boat? I mean, I lived my whole life with what if thinking. What if I was on a plane and I had a panic attack and I wanted to get off? What if I went to a social event and I did something stupid and embarrassed myself in front of everybody? God, how did I live like that? I didn't live like that. And it wasn't a way to live, and I guess it's interesting that since COVID, God has been sending me all these people who are so anxious. They're anxious about getting COVID. They're anxious about having a heart attack. They're anxious about being anxious. They feel bad about who they are. They're afraid if they went on a dating site and somebody found out that they had terrible anxiety, they wouldn't be lovable. Well, you are lovable. You're lovable because you have anxiety. You're sensitive. You're creative. You're a people pleaser, and that's not a bad thing. You want people to like you. You want to make people happy. You're genuinely a good person if you have anxiety. But where do you draw the line? You draw the line at, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm anxious. Maybe I'm not enough. Oh my God, can you stand me? And listen, if you're severely anxious and you're limiting your life and you won't travel with your partner and you don't want to go out, in your heart, that's not right. You need to get a grip on that type of anxiety because it's not fair to them and it's not fair to you. It's not fair to you to live your life in a confined way and a limited way because of your anxiety. I'm learning more to be more of a God pleaser. Well, it starts with you. No, you can't please everyone. And I don't want you to be selfish, and I don't want you to be aggressive, and I don't want you to be mean. But I really want to say, get more comfortable with accepting and loving yourself as you are. Anxiety is part of your story, and that's okay. Maybe depression's part of your story, and that's okay. And as long as you're doing something about it, and if you're working out and you're eating healthy and you're trying to avoid your triggers, that word, your triggers, the triggers could be food, it could be drinks, it could be people. I would strongly suggest if there's someone in your life who triggers you, don't hang out with them so much. And I don't care if it, and by the way, and you can tell them, you make me anxious, and they're, well, I don't make you anxious. You make you anxious. Well, when I'm with you, my anxiety gets worse. So I need to just take care of myself. I love you. and I enjoy being with you, but maybe, I either need to see you a little bit less, or you need to have less, lower your expectations and be a little easier. I love that song by Adele. What is it? Be easy on me, or something like that. I love that song. A lot of your anxiety comes from genetics, from when your family, your mom and your dad, they were probably anxious, one of them. And maybe you had a childhood, she goes, Go Easy on Me by Adele. Oh, I was just a child. And she talks about how her childhood was tough on her. And as a result, as an adult, she sat with a lot of fear and anxiety. And you're not alone. Anxiety and depression are the two most common reasons people go to the doctor, take medications, drink alcohol, and miss work. So you're not alone. So what do we do? Well, I want you to take really good care of yourself. Watch what you eat. Drink a ton of water. Watch how much you drink, and watch what you drink. Watch the caffeine. I want you to work out every day. Do cardio every day. I want you to distract yourself with positive things, like listen to great positive music. I've told a lot of you about Jennifer Barazin radio. I want you to underreact to your anxiety. Instead of overreacting to everything and going, oh no, try underreacting to your anxiety and going, hey, it's no big deal. It's just anxiety. It will go away. I would like you to use your anxious energy in positive pursuit of something. If you could just figure out, what you want to do with yourself, and maybe you want to do something interesting with your life now that you're in your 50s or your 40s, whatever, throw some of that anxious energy toward reinventing yourself, or redoing, maybe painting your house, or spending more time with your kids, or whatever it is you can do. Use your anxious energy in positive pursuit. And this is so important, and it's really hard. Get more comfortable with doing nothing, I call it downtime. A lot of people get really anxious when they're just sitting by themselves doing nothing. They really have a hard time doing that. But practice sitting and doing nothing, and put on Jennifer Barazin radio, put on my relaxation tape or CD, whatever you have, put on one of my podcasts. But if you could just sit there and put on some really relaxing music and do nothing for 15 minutes. Yes, you can have downtime. I'm telling you. In fact, that's probably one of the biggest homework assignments I would give you all, is try to spend some time this week doing nothing. I don't care if you go outside and sit in the sun and just fill yourself. One of the things you could do, fill yourself full of positive intentions. And if you want to get out a pen, I'll give you some right now. I'll give you a minute. Okay, I can lay in the sun. I don't know. I mean, you probably can, unless you have a reason that you can't. If you just had surgery, or if you have certain skin disorders, or you're taking certain medications, you have to watch the sun. So check with your doctor on that. But let's just start with some affirmations, okay? It's just anxiety. It's not going to hurt me. It's just anxiety. It's not going to hurt me. Number 2, I'll be patient and it will pass. Number 2, I'll be patient and it will pass. Number 3, I accept myself and love myself just as I am. I accept myself and love myself just as I am. Number 4, I am enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. Number 5, Darla, I hope you're getting these in case somebody doesn't get them. I am worthy of happiness and peace. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of being happy and being peaceful. Number 6, I'm going to trust the universe. I'm going to let go and let God. Let go and let God. When I'm all freaked out, I'm having an anxious moment, I'm going to let go and let God and know that I'm going to be okay. And if you could just write those down on your phone, write them down on a piece of paper. If you didn't get them, Darla, well, we can email them to you. And if you could sit and put your hands on the sofa and sit back and close your eyes. And I've told you all about Jennifer Barazan Radio, Berazan. It's on Spotify. It's on Pandora, and it's this beautiful spiritual music. And if you could just sit down, put your headphones in, listen to that music, and repeat those affirmations, it will give you strength. And always just let time pass. Instead of spinning and going, oh no, what if, what's wrong with me? How long is this going to last? Are they still going to love me? Stop it. You don't have to make excuses for your imperfection. You're perfect. You're as God made you. You are a human being. You are lovable. You are magical. You have incredible energy. You are enough. And this energy is something that you can access anytime you're anxious. This is your higher self. This is your God energy. This is powerful, powerful energy. And when you get scared and you get anxious, I really encourage you to pull up those affirmations, put on Jennifer Barazan Radio, and calm down. Just calm down, you know? You can do this. Don't be afraid, don't make excuses, and don't apologize. You're a beautiful person. I know, because I know what anxiety is. So I hope I see you in 2 weeks.